Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kasandra Webb. Coming up, DOJ arrests alleged voice behind ISIS videos, updates in Nicholas Cruz trial, social media apps face outages, and a look at sports and your 5-day forecast. All this and more as PS News starts right now. Here's what's happening around the world. Airlines are bleeding money, and it's probably not going to stop anytime soon. The International Air Transport Association is forecasting that airlines will lose nearly $52 billion this year. That updated outlook is more than previously forecast. The group also expects airlines to lose $11.5 billion next year before finally returning to profitability in 2023. Last year was also worse than originally thought. The new report updates losses from 2020 higher to nearly $138 billion. That happened during the same year the federal government spent $25 billion bailing out airlines impacted by the pandemic. Shakira has won a tax case in Spain. A Spanish tribunal court ruled the singer was forced to pay the treasury unfairly. The singer's lawyers say the tax agency now has to return money it incorrectly settled. But that's not the end of Shakira's legal trouble in Spain. In a separate case in July, a judge ruled the singer could stand trial for alleged tax evasion of more than 14 million euros, equal to about $17 million. The judge said there was evidence to show she may be liable to pay taxes from 2012 to 2014. The case depends on where Shakira's main residence is. The tax agency says it's Spain, but her defense team reportedly argues it's the Bahamas. The Department of Justice says it now has the English-speaking narrator heard in ISIS recruitment videos. This is Mohammed Khalifa. Prosecutors say he's a Saudi-born Canadian citizen who worked with ISIS for 6 years after traveling to Syria in 2013 to become a fighter. Syrian Democratic Forces captured Khalifa in 2019. Officials in Syria say he was throwing grenades during a firefight. On Saturday, U.S. officials said the Syrians recently handed him over to the FBI. The DOJ says Khalifa's work helped further ISIS reach and recruitment efforts. Khalifa will also face charges in Canada. Those are your global stories for now. When we come back, we will take a look at what is happening around the nation. Stay tuned.
Local high schools, youth commissions, clubs, and other businesses since 1984. We specialize in trophies, screen printing, sporting goods, embroidery, office apparel, uniforms, hats, t-shirts, and more. Regardless of the size of your project, you will have the full participation and dedication of our design team. No job is too big or too small, keeping you involved every step of the way so that your vision is our design. Stop into Finney Sports or call us to see what we can do for you.
Welcome back. Here's what is happening around the nation. Mental illness affects everyone directly or indirectly through family, friends, or co-workers. That's why doctors and health officials are trying to get the word out about how to live with it and manage it. The first week of October is Mental Illness Awareness Week. Congress officially established MIAW in 1990 to better educate the public about mental health issues, provide support for those who face it, and fight against discrimination. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, mental illness is common in the U.S. They state nearly 1 in 5 adults live with a mental health condition. That worked out to around 51.5 million people in 2019. Nicholas Cruz's lawyers want to delay the battery trial of the confessed Parkland school shooter. The court was supposed to hold the first day of jury selection for Cruz's trial Monday. Cruz is facing the battery charge because of a scuffle he had with a jail guard back in November of 2018. The defense is asking the court to delay the proceedings because Cruz's lead attorney was in an ICU after suffering a serious medical emergency. Last week, the defense team requested a delay, but the document states the court refused. The court argued another lawyer could serve as a substitute. Cruz was in jail for the 2018 mass shooting at Horry Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Police say he confessed to shooting and killing 17 people during the massacre. He is now facing a separate trial on 34 counts of premeditated and attempted murder. About 60,000 film and television workers could be on strike soon. In a near unanimous vote, members of the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees Union approved to authorize a strike. The move could stop Hollywood productions for an indefinite period. At issue, health and safety, plus quality of life issues for TV and film industry workers, including meal breaks and days off. The IATSE has been around for 128 years, and they say this is the first time they've authorized a nationwide strike. The strike authorization comes after negotiations with the group representing producers broke down. The two sides were negotiating over time, on-set conditions, and contributions to health and pension benefits. The IATSE is expected to return to negotiations, but they want the studios to know they are serious about getting concessions. New research suggests developing a heart condition after receiving COVID-19 vaccine is rare. The journal JAMA Internal Medicine published the latest research from a group of Kaiser Permanent doctors Monday. The doctors studied over 2 million people who received at least one dose of the Pfizer or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Researchers say only 15 people developed myocarditis, a kind of heart inflammation. None of the patients had prior heart disease. The doctors point out that they also looked at more than 1 million people who did not receive a COVID vaccine, and 75 of them developed myocarditis. The doctors did find an increased rate of myocarditis among young men. They say all 15 cases in those who received at least one vaccine dose were in men between the ages of 20 and 32. More than half of the 75 cases in the unvaccinated group were also in men. The doctors say this warrants further research. Facebook is in the hot seat, cleaning up after a massive 6-hour app outage. Now, a whistleblower is testifying before a Senate hearing. Frances Houlihan leaked tens of thousands of pages of internal research and documents, indicating Facebook was aware of various problems caused by its apps, including Instagram's potential toxic impact on teen girls. Isabel Rosales is in Washington with highlights and how the company is responding.
Facebook needs to take responsibility.
Facebook is trending, and it's a big mess for the social media giant.
I came to realize a devastating truth. Almost no one outside of Facebook knows what happens inside of Facebook.
Whistleblower Frances Haugen testifying in a Senate subcommittee 24 hours after a massive outage took out Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram.
The company's leadership knows how to make Facebook and Instagram safer, but won't make the necessary changes because they have put their astronomical profits before people.
The former Facebook product manager is taking aim at the company's algorithms, accusing them of leading young users to harmful content like anorexia.
They have to make sure that the next generation is just as engaged with Instagram as the current one. And the way they'll do that is by making sure that children establish habits before they have good self-regulation.
By hooking kids.
By hooking kids.
That's why she's pleading for congressional oversight, rare bipartisan agreement.
You and I ought to resolve our differences and introduce legislation. So as Senator Thune said, let's go to work.
Our differences are very minor, or they seem very minor in the face of the revelations that we've now seen.
Facebook spokesperson weighing in on the testimony.
The majority of young people on Instagram are having a good experience, and that is borne out by the documents that were stolen.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales.
And I want to thank.
In a statement Tuesday, Facebook denied the whistleblower's claims, saying she didn't work on the subject matter in question and that they don't agree with her characterization of the many issues she testified about. Right now, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at sports and the Plattsburgh weather.
PS News is a live show put together by just a bunch of college students.
and we put it out to the public for everybody to see. Different segments that we have at PS News. We have national news, we have world news, and we cover sports and pop culture news as well.
It's been a lot of fun, especially this semester. We have a great crew and talent that make it amazing.
We go live Monday through Thursday from 7 and 7:30.
Welcome to PS News.
Welcome back to PS Sports. I'm Harrison Gereau. National Women's Soccer League team co-owner Steve Baldwin has resigned as CEO and managing partner of the Washington Spirit. It comes as the NWSL faces a series of scandals. Baldwin said part of the reason for his resignation was a request by players. He also cited concerns over workplace culture and the prior coach's conduct. Former coach Richie Burke was fired recently as a result of an NWSL investigation into allegations against some members of the Spirit. That same investigation found the team's ownership, quote, failed to act in the best interests of the league. Baldwin's resignation follows a report Thursday by The Athletic detailing allegations of sexual coercion and misconduct against former North Carolina Courage head coach Paul Riley. Riley has denied the accusations. Matches will resume Wednesday after last week's games were canceled following the report. The NWSL has detailed plans for systematic change within the league. The Australian government has been flexible and practical to ensure the Ashes, a cricket series played between England and Australia, can go ahead. But speaking earlier today, Australia Health Minister Greg Hunt said the fate of the series lies in England's hands.
On that, you might be aware that England's cricketers may not want to come here now because of our quarantining situation. Can there be any special quarantine requirements that are given to the English cricketers to make sure the Ashes can go ahead?
Well, I really hope, both as a minister, but as a deep cricket fan, that they do come. I've been in contact with Richard Colbeck throughout the recent weeks, our sports minister. He's been working with his UK counterpart. The Prime Minister's been working with Boris Johnson, and we are hopeful that we will be able to have this go ahead. Ultimately, it's always in the hands of the touring party, but we've been working to be flexible and practical. On the one hand, make sure that we have safety arrangements for Australia. On the other hand, to be practical and flexible, to give that touring party every chance of coming here and to have the Ashes played this summer.
Okay.
Now for a quick look at what's happening in the sports world near you. Beekmantown will be sending its volleyball seniors out on a high note. On senior night Tuesday, the Eagles came away with a 3-0 victory over Northeastern Clinton High in CVAC action. Dylan Bronson led the team with 16 assists, and Lauren Cross and Charlize Daniels tied for a team-high 6 kills. 5 seniors were honored during the game for Beekmantown. The sets went 25-18, 25-21, and 25-13, respectively. For PS Sports, I'm Harrison Gereau. Back to the desk with Cassie.
Thank you, Harrison. Now, on to the weather near you.
Thanks, Cassie, and now let's take a look at your North Country weather. Well, if you hung up that jacket today, your closet better have a revolving door. As we look up north into Owl's Head, it looks as though we're going to see highs in the mid to high 60s, coming down towards Osable Forks, a little bit higher in the 60s, but not quite hitting that magical 70 number yet. If we move over into the Vermont side, over in St. Albans City, the high will be 69, and down in Williston, we actually do have a little bit of heat, seeing a high of 71. Now let's move on and take a quick look at your 5-day forecast. On Thursday, we're going to have partly cloudy skies with a high of 67. Moving into Friday, the sun will peek out and have its time on its own with a high of 68. The clouds come back into play on Saturday with the high going down to 65. And on Sunday, some rain will come down, lowering the temperature just a bit more to 64. Moving into next week, we will start once again with partly cloudy skies and a high of 69. That's all for this week's weather. Back to the desk with Cassie.
Thank you, Harrison. And that's all the time we have for tonight. Whether you're watching from home or on the go, you can find PS News on the Plattsburgh State TV YouTube page and social media at Plattsburgh State TV. Have a good night, Plattsburgh.